Hello and welcome to the Moonshine Jesus Show. It has been far too long. I'm joined by my good friend and co-host Caleb. How are you, Caleb?
Mark, I'm doing great. It was so good to hear that music. It feels like it's been forever since we've heard that
Yeah,
music.
I
So
was I was
it's
just
good to
saying,
hear it
folks.
and be back with you.
Exactly, and just as we were about to go live, I told Caleb, "Let's see if we remember how to do this." we'll see. We'll see how it
We'll
goes. I think
see.
I think we'll
Yeah,
probably be all right. Here's what I
I think
do
so.
know. We'll have a few drinks and have some good times talking about Project Hail Mary. But before we go there, and I am going to ask you about your drink here, but I want to let everyone know that our show is sponsored by the Center for Progressive Christianity. We encourage you to go there. Check them out for all of your progressive Christian needs. You'll find so many resources there. I think you might be a little overwhelmed in the best way. We are sponsored by the Progressive Christian Alliance, which is a diverse, inclusive community reclaiming faith through justice, compassion, and a radical welcome, as well as the Christian left, where following Jesus means standing up for the poor, the oppressed, and the truth, no matter how unpopular it gets.
Hmm.
Now, Caleb, it would not be a Moonshine Jesus show without some beverages. I'm curious what you decided to go with after we've been on hiatus, so this is a big moment. What did you end
I
up
know.
deciding
I
was the right
know.
choice for you?
Okay, well, Project Hail Mary is about a scientist, right? And one of the things that we see in the spaceship is a beaker. We see beakers. So I've got kind of my beaker glass, and
Nice, nice.
the thing that we see our protagonist drinking whenever he first comes back to life on this spaceship is a bag of vodka. So, you can
Yes,
kind of see
indeed.
I've got vodka here, got some vodka in here that I have poured into my beaker glass. So it's not a
Love it.
cocktail, but it is
It
vodka
is
inspired
so appropriate.
by this movie.
It
How about
is
you?
so
What do you have?
appropriate. Well, it was the first one back, so I wanted something I could kind of celebrate and toast with, but I
Yeah,
also wanted to keep it related to the movie.
sure.
So
Yes.
I am going with, not surprisingly, one of my favorite things, a glass of bourbon. Elijah Craig, this particular time, one of my favorite affordable go-tos. But this time around, because of the movie, I've got it on whiskey rocks, as in
Uh,
Rocky. So
Ah,
got
I
the
see what you
got
did
the
there.
whiskey
Okay.
right.
Yeah,
See, a little bit of fun there. All right, so
yeah.
listen, we've got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of fun to
Yeah.
have. So let's take a quick break here, a little drop, and we'll come back on the other side, have a little fun geeking out about this movie.
Cheers.
Moonshine Jesus, Moonshine Jesus, Moonshine Jesus, Moonshine Jesus, won't you shine a light?
Welcome back to the Moonshine Jesus Show. We are entering our geeking out segment where we will let our geek flags fly. Today we're talking about Project Hail Mary. And if you haven't seen it, just a word of warning, we will have spoilers. So if you don't want those, just be cognizant that you'll hear them here. And Mark, you pointed out a couple of days ago, after we'd already picked Project Hail Mary,
Yeah,
that today is Star Wars Day.
right,
And we're
right.
not talking about Star Wars. So I feel like in good
I
Christian tradition, we should
no,
repent for
I don't
that.
think so. I don't think so. I put a
You
lot of
think?
thought on this, and,
Okay,
and I and like I
okay.
said, I wonder if I remember how to do this. I didn't remember how to do this because one, I was going to mention spoilers at the beginning. I didn't do that, and then two, I have decided that by not doing a Star Wars theme on May the 4th, Holy Star Wars Day,
Yes.
that we are being the perfect rebels.
Oh, okay. Because
So
we
see, we're
because we
truly
let Star
we're
Wars Day be every day, right?
every
Every day
day,
is Star Wars Day.
and we're
Yep.
we're being rebels. We're rebelling against the forced decision. So I think we're right on the money here. We're doing just fine, just fine. Also, cheers. I haven't had my drink yet. So.
Cheers, Mark. And may the fourth be with you. So we're not
And
talking about Star
also with
Wars
you.
today. Thank you.
Yeah.
We're not talking about Star Wars today, but we are talking about Project Hail Mary, which is a great space adventure in its own right. Project Hail Mary is a 2026 American science fiction film based on the 2021 novel by Andy Weir. Stars Ryan Gosling, who plays Ryland Grace, a middle school teacher who awakens aboard an interstellar spacecraft with no memory of how he got there. Yet, he has to save the sun from astrophage, which is eating the sun. And along the way, he meets an alien trying to do the same thing, who he names, most appropriately, Rocky, because he looks like a giant rock. So, Mark, I want to start out with this question for you.
Yep.
Who is one of the best sci-fi aliens in film, and why is it now Rocky?
I think you're exactly right. Rocky is one of he's right up there. This is so weird that a character that is a rock that has no facial features,
right?
I think he's right up there with Grogu, isn't he?
He's really, I mean, he's
adorable,
fun to watch, lovable. Yeah,
you're interested in seeing what he's going to do. He's got he's weirdly complex as a character.
Yeah, he's good, right?
Obviously, from the question, you also believe one of the
best.
Right?
I mean, I think the dynamic between Ryland and Rocky is fun, or Grace and Ryland and Rocky is fun. I think it's fun to see them kind of get to know each other. I think it's fun to see them bond, and I think you're right. Like, not knowing social cues, like Rocky making himself all of a sudden Grace's roommate, and moving on to the spaceship uninvited. I think all of that is a fun character dynamic that makes the show fun to watch, and it's lengthy, but it is fun to watch. I think. Did you enjoy watching this one, Mark?
I had a blast. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes. Did not feel like that at all to me, and it's so amazing that that's the case, since a great deal of the time of the screen was a single actor and a puppet, which is also pretty remarkable that Rocky was almost completely puppeted. Unbelievable that they pulled that off, and it felt real and it felt right. And I would have guessed that half of it was CGI. What did you think?
Yeah, it felt real, and I thought that was good. I thought it was good. It was entertaining. It was engaging, but also that really did strike me too, Mark, that like Ryan Gosling had to carry a lot by himself. It's one of those movies where these are hard, where a single actor has to act either with a puppet or CGI or just by themselves. And I think about movies like 127 Hours or something like that, where it's just James Franco and The Rock. Have you seen that one where like he gets his arm caught in the rock? And like those movies are really, really hard. And so I thought he did a really good job carrying that out and making it interesting and engaging. Did you think he did a good job as well?
I thought it was incredible. I took full disclosure here. I'm not the biggest Ryan Gosling fan. I think he's okay. I've never been highly impressed with him. That has all changed. He was, and I know we're geeking out a lot here. Don't worry, folks. We're going to get to the politics and the theology, but we got to let our geek flags fly. I thought he was absolutely incredible in this movie, and I will be very, very upset if he isn't nominated for an Oscar for this. Speaking of Oscars, the puppeteer who does Rocky, because he does the voice himself, is actually eligible to be a Best Supporting Actor nominee. So I got my fingers. That would be incredible. That would be incredible.
That would be great.
New change that would allow that. But that's fun, man.
Okay. That would be so fun. I mean, if they were both up, the team, the duo again.
Right. Yeah.
Rocky and Grace
Get
back
the band
up.
back together. It was
fantastic. Yeah, that's right.
Loved it.
Okay, so Mark, I want to ask you a hypothetical. So Project Hail Mary is about kind of a Hail Mary, right? A last ditch effort to save the sun. And I'm curious, Mark, if you were asked to go
Yes.
on Project Hail Mary, what would your specialty skill be that you would bring to a mission to help save the sun?
What?
Do you have a skill?
Oh, I don't know, man. My whole theology thing isn't going to help a lot in that particular world. I'm a great cook, but that's not really going to help in space. Um, the only thing I can think of is I am this kind of weirdly high logic kind of person. So
Yeah,
maybe what
yeah,
I can't tell you what's the right thing to do, but when you
yeah.
describe what you're going to do, I can tell you that it might not work because logically that makes no sense. I don't know. Maybe that's the best I could do. That's tough, man. That's a good question. I don't know. How about what would you bring? I mean, my drinking
I-
skills wouldn't help either. So
well, look,
except for
so
that bag of vodka, you know.
well, see, you can be the bartender. I think that's a great skill.
might
You
be
know, a
might be
cook,
very
a
much
bartender.
needed. Might be very
Yeah,
much needed in that. Well,
I mean,
I don't know.
because look,
What would you
if you got
bring?
2 years, if you got 2 years of supplies, man, I mean, you don't want to just eat ramen for 2 years, but you could spice that up, and you could, yeah.
At least
Look,
try,
man,
right?
I'm like you. I've got 4 degrees in theology. I'm
Right.
useless on a mission like this. I
Right.
have no idea.
Exactly.
The only thing I would be good at is like if I were one of the ones who was in the body bag, like one of the casualties before,
Right.
like knockout, so like more useful people who could actually save the sun. Yeah, I don't think I would be much help at all unless they wanted,
Yeah, I get
it
that.
could do some blessing of the thing or whatever ahead of time. So it does feel like well Ryland Grace, he's a great scientist who has some
Yeah.
unpopular opinions along the way.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yep.
what do you think? Do you think he's more like MacGyver and flying by the seat of his pants, or is he more like a scientist who really does know what he's doing along the way, or does he just kind of get lucky?
I reject the question. I think
Oh,
he's
okay.
both. I think
Hmm.
I think he clearly has the deep skill set and the knowledge to help start sorting this out. But he's
Yeah.
also a playful soul in some ways, which
Yeah.
is the MacGyver-ish kind of thing, where he's willing to take his skill sets of what he understands and what he knows and play with them. He doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily overthink that, oh, I'm the respected scientist, so I have to do it
Yeah.
by the book. He's also willing to play with it, which I think are the best folks in any field, the ones who have a deep
Yeah.
field of knowledge, but also don't take themselves so seriously that they won't play around with it a little bit and try to learn something and bend the rules a little to see where it takes them. So, what do you think about that? Him as a character?
I love him as a character. I think he's fun to watch. I think he's engaging to watch. And I
Yeah,
think you're right. I think one of the things that makes people successful, I think a lot of scientific discoveries were discovered completely by accident, right? They were not, they were just people
yeah,
who were kind
absolutely.
of playing around. And it was the creativity that freed them. I think that's one of the things
Yeah,
that made him
yeah,
the right person for this job ultimately, is that like he's out in space. He's somewhere he's never been before, and it's that
right.
playful nature, as you put it, or the MacGyverness of him that
Yeah,
allows him to adapt to the situation, to adapt his scientific knowledge to the realities around him. I think you're right. I think that's good in any field. I think it's good in theology. I think it's good all
absolutely.
around. So, Mark, this film was funny. It was fun to watch. It also had some pretty emotional points as well.
I'm not
Did you
crying. You're
have
crying.
yeah, I know. I was like, my theater was pretty full. I saw it on
Yeah,
Saturday night at like, I don't know, 9 o'clock or something. The
yeah,
theater was all full, and like
yeah.
I'm sitting next to people. I'm kind of like wiping
Oh
my
yeah,
eyes. I'm like, oh
absolutely.
no, no. Yeah, but I mean, it was pretty emotional.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite? Was there a specific moment in the show that hit you hard, or that you really enjoyed?
I honestly, I enjoyed. This is the rare movie that I really genuinely enjoyed most of it most of the time. I'd have a very hard time highlighting. Like I loved the initial meeting of Grace and Rocky and the playfulness and trying to figure that out. I absolutely loved the action scene when they go down to the planet to try to
Mhm.
get the pieces that will eat up what's killing the sun, and how incredibly well filmed it was, how beautifully stunning it was, how you felt it in your chest,
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
like, oh no, what's going to happen? Are we going to be able to do it? Uh, Rocky breaking out of his glass enclosure to go save Grace in the midst of all this, and knowing that he's sacrificing literally his entire planet to do that. Also, just the lady who forced Grace to go to space when she
Yeah.
does her karaoke, man, that is an incredible moment. Like,
Yeah.
this is a great this is a great movie, and I won't be
It's a great movie.
surprised if a year from now I end up, because I would never do this immediately with a movie, believing that it's one of the best movies made in the past decade. It's just
Yeah.
incredible. What was your
Well,
moments?
I'll also say, Mark, you have a really uncanny ability to be able to say, "Hey, this movie was significant, and we should appreciate it." And so often before anyone else, I remember we were watching Everything Everywhere All at Once, and you're like, "Man, this movie,
It's
this
gonna
is
get
incredible.
nominated.
This is gonna get nominated. This can go down in history." Like, yeah, I think this one was so good
Yeah,
too. I loved to see. Ryland Grace's character arc here from being someone who who stands firm on his idea, his belief,
yeah,
isn't going to give that up even though it costs him a lot,
yeah.
and ultimately though is still pretty self-serving and self-centered, and through relationship see him change that,
Mhm.
and be willing to both save his own planet
Yeah,
and find like real bromance friendship
yeah.
was really kind of cool. And so I think the moment where he has to decide, is he going home or not, and
Mhm.
choosing friendship, for me,
Yeah,
that was a good moment. That was a
big.
good
Yeah,
moment. Yeah.
yeah.
and
A matter of fact,
and
it ostensibly it seems to be a space movie. But it's not a space movie, man. The
yeah.
As much time as they spend in space, this is not a space this is a relationship movie, and it does
Yeah,
it so well. Just,
it does.
incredible. Yeah.
It does. It does. While being a sci-fi movie of the year, at
Yeah,
the,
exactly.
and to help us realize again, as we say so often here at the Moonshine Jesus Show, that you know that sci-fi, fantasy, all that helps us tell our stories and understand them better. And
Yeah,
I think Project Hail Mary definitely did that. So I would
completely.
love to sit here and geek out about this for
Yeah,
the rest of the day, because I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a lot of fun
absolutely. Yeah.
to geek out watching. So it's certainly fun to talk about. But if we do that, we won't get to talk about theology and politics. So why don't we take a break, take a sip, and come back and get into our Theopolitico segment?
Welcome back to the Moonshine Jesus Show. You're entering our Theopolitico segment. So, Caleb, I'm going to jump right in here. In the movie, Grace, begin at the beginning, wakes up alone, disoriented. He's ultimately, carrying, he figures out the weight of humanity. He
Mhm.
encounters Rocky, who we've been talking about, an alien life form from a completely different planet, different species. Everything about the meeting seems almost, honestly, at first, it could almost feel threat like, different biology, different language, unknown
Yeah.
intentions. But instead of fear or defense or even maybe preemptive violence, what happens is cautious curiosity and then communication and then trust and eventually sort of a partnership where both are willing to risk everything for the other's survival. And the mission really only succeeds because they choose cooperation over fear. So here's my question. I've got big buildups to all of these questions, but here's my question. If survival in the story depends on choosing trust over fear with someone radically other, what does that say about how US politics treats outsiders? And what would it look like if we approach them as potential partners instead of threats?
Yeah. I mean, I think first of all, this is one of the things I deeply respect about science as a discipline is that
Mhm.
everything is to be treated first with curiosity, right? And so I think that one of the reasons that happens in the film is because they're both scientists who
Mhm.
approach their meeting with curiosity, and I think
Absolutely.
that's one of the things that we often lose in our interpersonal relationships is that we forget to be curious about other human beings. We bring with us a whole host of assumptions about who they
Right.
are and about what they stand for, and we can dehumanize people whenever we do that. We can forget that they are
Yeah.
reflections of the divine. And so when if we bring our assumptions about who people are because of where they're from, or because of what we've heard about a group of people from the news or whatever,
Yeah.
then we forget to see them as human beings. I think that's one of the big problems we have in politics right now is that we've got all of
100%.
these narratives about who people are because of their immigration status, because of how they got to the United States, and we forget that these are human beings with real life stories. And for instance, if we were curious enough to ask, like, why we've got such an influx of Central American immigrants to the United States,
Mhm.
maybe that curiosity would lead us to things like US intervention in Central American states that led to political destabilization that ultimately forced these folks to have to become migrants in the first place. So I think
100%.
curiosity is something that we should really strive to embody. How about you, Mark? What do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree. Curiosity is something we need to strive to embody. I also think, I go back to the kind of theological side of it. One of the core stories for me will always be the Good Samaritan and the understanding that who we are supposed to be is even when someone is different from us, looks different from us, the people we're supposed to be willing to work with are our neighbors that story tells us that our neighbors are anyone who's in need. And in my mind, I don't know how any human isn't in need. We all are in need. There's no one who's living the perfect life. We all need help. And that story is just the perfect example of we all end up in a better place, not only better place, but we are called to be as Christians, people following the teachings of Jesus, to not other people, to not dehumanize people, but rather to see their needs, to see their difference, and recognize that it's an opportunity and something that we should be, working with and towards and trying to create a better world because of it. But we do spend way too much time in politics othering people and setting up the people that we should be afraid of and fearful of. And we create yes, the folks who want power, yeah, that works for them. For the rest of the world, it makes it a worse world, and we all need to learn to
Yeah.
see that and understand that that's one of the things Jesus was calling us towards was improving the world, making it a better place for everyone. All right, I want to keep going here. So Grace starts out completely alone, right? Just as I had said, and disoriented. Um, and we from any real he's I'm sorry, he's cut off from any real sense of community, and they pretty much frame the mission as one person saving the world, right?
Mhm.
But the thing is, the turning point of it comes when Grace actually meets Rocky, right? And
Yeah.
survival stops being an individual burden and becomes something that's more shared when he meets
Yeah.
Rocky. So if even a quote save the world kind of story ultimately depends on a connection, a shared responsibility, I wonder, is salvation something that individuals accomplish, or is it something that only exists in community, or is it something in between?
Yeah, that's one of the things I really liked about this film is that it does seem like it's going to be just one person saving everything, and that's not what it is.
Mm,
You're right. It is cooperation, collaboration. It is bouncing of ideas back and forth that ultimately leads to the solution to the problem. And I think we in Christianity do ourselves a disservice when we look at salvation as something that Jesus accomplished for us once and for all
mhm.
2000 years ago. That takes all the responsibility off of us. And so I think what is salvific about what Jesus did is that he taught us how to live. He
Yeah.
taught us the sacrifice that it takes to live authentically, and then it is up to us to embody that salvation, right? To actually
Mhm.
live in that way. But whenever we do, whenever we follow Jesus's teachings, whenever we live our lives going for the goals that Jesus taught us, well then
Yeah.
that's salvation. That's salvific. And so I think it is communal. I think Jesus showed us an example, and then we get to live that out. And we do that
Yeah.
in individual ways, and we do that in communal ways, and sometimes we succeed and sometimes we fail, but I think that's a lot more helpful than thinking about, oh, if I say the right magical words, then my soul is in good my
Right.
soul is saved, and that's all that I need to do. What about you? What do you
Yeah.
think?
Well, I mean, I think biblically we can see that it's not individualistic. I mean, in
Mm,
Acts, people are healed and transformed in groups, not in
yeah,
isolation. First Corinthians, you got the section about the body metaphor, that
yeah.
it makes it pretty clear that not one part survives without the other parts. So it seems to me that, quote, salvation isn't about one person being better or getting out or whatever. It's all about, you know, us finding wholeness together, and that only happens through relationship, mutual care, even shared responsibility, like we see in the movie. I do have a follow up question to that, though, and I think this is an important question. Why do American Christians so frequently see salvation as individualistic? Where does that come
Yeah.
from? If biblically it's not really there, what
Yeah.
are we doing, man?
Well, this is the weird thing about the United States in general is we have this whole pull yourself up by your bootstraps mentality, and most of it is fiction. I mean, it's all fictionalized, right? Nobody does
Yeah,
anything by themselves, and
yeah.
certainly people, if we're talking about like. Uh, uh, Pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps, that like some people have boots and others don't, right? Like, but I think
Right.
I think it's also it's true that like thinking that we can do spirituality on our own is a
Yeah,
dangerous concept because it's not biblical. It does play into this hyper Americanized version of self, and I think that's one of
yeah,
the greatest wrongs that we have done in the United States is we have gone so deeply into this notion of self that it has cost us spiritually. That I'll often hear, well, um, I come to this religious community because it does such and such for me, or I
right,
want such and such. Like, well, okay, but is it just about us? Is it just about like us
right.
as individuals and what we
Mhm.
want? Or how is it that we are experiencing the divine communally?
Yeah,
And so I think I think it's dangerous, man. And
I agree.
why exactly we continue to buy into that, past the in this post enlightenment kind of world, I don't know, but I
Yeah,
think it's dangerous. How about you?
yeah. Well, the church certainly has a lot of responsibility in it. Even the language we use, make how you need to have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
This is the body broken for you, and we hear that as singular, not plural.
right.
And a lot of that, I think, comes out of our history as a church, particularly back in the first Great Awakening, second Great Awakening, revivalism in general, where they were needing to have someone make a decision in a moment because they were traveling across the nation and they were trying to do quick conversions. You can't do quick conversions in community. It's got to be individual. And then you add to that kind of the American culture and capitalism, which both put, as you were pointing out earlier, this sort of emphasis on individualism. And, you end up with this really pretty unhealthy version of Christianity, more or less, of just the way you see what works in the world. Listen, God, I had
Wait,
so many
Mark.
more questions. Yes.
I know, but I've just got to point something out to you, man. Your
Yeah.
English major is showing here because
Oh,
I
yeah.
have never heard anyone blame the hyper individualism
It
of
is.
American Christianity on the lack of a collective plural in English.
There's a little. That's fair.
and so,
That's fair.
I just want to point that out, Mark. That
I think-
thank you,
That-
English degree person for.
I
bringing that up.
appreciate that very much. Listen, I love this segment. We always give it a little more time than the first segment, but we also love our final segment, the Make Me Look Stupid segment. And if we don't go ahead and wrap this up right now, we won't have our opportunity and stay within the parameters of the showtime. So we're going to take a quick drop and come back on the other side and make me look stupid.
Welcome back to the Moonshine Jesus Show. Thanks for hanging out until our final segment, the Make Me Look Stupid segment, where we ask questions that might make our co-host look stupid, or it might make us look stupid. We don't know, And sometimes these are things we're genuinely wondering about. Sometimes these are predictions about the future. Sometimes these really are just questions that we think might stump our co-host. So I actually just have a curiosity question today, Mark. So let's say that you did have a specialized skill set on this mission. Maybe it's your cooking or your bartending that you're going to bring to this to this, or your rationality to tell people if the decisions they're making are stupid decisions, whatever. Yeah. Okay, so an invaluable skill set that you're going to bring.
Okay,
Mark, the fate of the world depends on you. Will you go on a one-way trip to save the world, knowing that you're not coming back, or are you gonna stay? You're gonna go.
Okay. I wouldn't even take me a few minutes to think about it. Only because you and I happen to work in a world where the question of do the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, and what that might look like, and the sacrifice that might be necessary for the greater good.
Well, that's a Star Trek quote. It's Star Wars Day, Mark, and you're quoting Star Trek.
I'm just because I'm a rebel, man. I'm a rebel. That's the way it goes. I really think that is true, and I put considerable time and thought into it. I think that's what you even see in the person of Jesus. Is trying to teach us that we make these sacrifices for the betterment of the world, no matter what that sacrifice happens to look like. So yeah, I wouldn't be happy about it. Don't get me wrong, but I probably would not have ran and tried to, climb the chain link fence like Greg. How about you? I'm really curious where you fall on this.
Well, I don't think I could have run away from them to try to jump the chain link fence. So I think I would have. I would have just had to be sedated right away. I want to think that I would. I hope that I would. To say that in order to save billions of people, that I would make that sacrifice. And I think so. I think one of the things that would make that beneficial is, I mean, a ride of a lifetime, going to
Right.
space and see things that
See
no
parts of
one
space
has
no one's
ever
ever seen.
seen before. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that that would be a fringe benefit of all of that. But yeah, I love what you're saying too, Mark, that like in a very real way, that if we're not willing to make those kinds of sacrifices, I mean, are we really following Jesus, who told us like that this is how you follow me. This is the
I, w-
example. This is how you
I
follow me.
will say though, it's and
Yeah,
I'm going to point this out. Usually, you're the one that
yeah,
points this out. There is a bit of this that has to do with our age differences.
yeah,
I have raised a family.
mm,
I have done
mm,
lots of things in my life that I hoped to get to do that I've
yeah,
managed to do. So I'm
yeah,
not going to pretend like the decision isn't easier for me because I have
yeah,
experienced those things. I'm not losing those because they're already with me. And I do think that's part of just the human condition that we have to
yeah,
consider in whether you could make that decision, or maybe more precisely how hard making
yeah,
that decision is. I think you and I both
yeah,
would come out in the same place. I
yeah,
think it's a harder decision for you, just because of our places
yeah.
in life. That's the only difference, I think.
And then the other thing I'll say too is the fact of what you always point out, that that suffering is sometimes necessary but not redemptive, right? And
Mhm.
redemptive suffering is a dangerous theology. And what is it you say,
Sure.
Mark? If suffering could be redemptive, we would have been
Sure.
redeemed
We
by
would be
now.
redeemed by now.
Yeah,
Exactly.
right, right. So I mean, I think that's the other danger that people sometimes get into when they're thinking about
Yeah.
stuff like this, is thinking that like, oh, well, this is still about salvation, or it's
Yeah.
about getting me to be redeemed, or something like that. Like, no,
Yeah.
sometimes you do the hard thing because it's the right thing, and
Yeah.
no matter how hard it is, because it's the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
All right.
Mark. I appreciate that. You got a question for me?
I do. And this is a point of curiosity. And I think, I don't know, it depends on how deeply we want to go into this question.
Yeah.
It could be revealing. If Grace had never met Rocky,
Yeah.
does humanity actually survive?
Uh, I don't think he would have. I'm not sure he would have. I'm not sure he would have figured everything out. Maybe he would have. Maybe not. But I think even if he had figured everything out, I don't think it would have been possible to accomplish by himself. I mean, just think about them. He wouldn't have been able to collect the organisms that acted kind of as the predator to astrophage. He wouldn't have been able to collect those without the collecting device that Rocky built. Yeah, if
Yeah.
he had been trying to just go out on his own, I mean, if Rocky hadn't sacrificed,
Yeah.
and potentially, potentially himself, then
Yeah.
they wouldn't have been able to get out of the atmosphere. And in the same way, if Rocky had been by himself, he wouldn't have been able to accomplish it either. I mean, his species didn't know about
Mhm.
radiation, for instance, and
Rocky
it
would have died on his way back to his planet.
he would have died right. Even if he had been able to accomplish
Made it
everything, he
that
wouldn't have
far.
made it
Yeah.
back. They
Yeah.
needed each other. And so,
Yeah.
man, if that's not a
I
good
think that's
metaphor
the
for
story
life,
right there. I
that,
think
that
that,
we need
and
each other.
when you look at the whole movie, I think that's the story right there. They
Yeah,
needed, and I'm using this language intentionally, they needed the other.
yeah,
Each of them needed the person that they would have seen as other. And
yeah,
this wouldn't, they would have saved neither planet if they hadn't had learned how to trust and to work with someone who would have been seen as other. And I think
yeah.
there is a lot of lessons that humanity needs to learn from that.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right, Mark. We need each other, right? And we need each other
Yep.
right now in the United States too. We need each other. Our world is more divided than ever. Our country's more divided than ever, and sometimes that also makes its way into our personal lives and things like that. Like, we need to figure out how to depend on each other. We're better off
It's
when we have each other.
it's one of the 100
And
reasons why this movie is needed right now, and it is incredible.
yeah, Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm a fan, Mark. I
Me too.
thought this movie was great. And do you think there will be a sequel? Do we need a sequel of
There,
Project Hail Mary or
there is not a sequel written yet, but the author
Mhm.
of the book says that he did not reveal why the other astronauts died because he's holding it back in case he wants to tell that story. So
Okay. Okay.
we
So there.
might.
Okay. Yes. I think I would be open to it. But also
I'm
this is a
invested in
story
the
that stands.
characters, you know.
Yes. But also, like, it's one of those things where is it better to leave perfection alone?
Good point.
Yeah,
Good point.
and I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, Mark, it's been great to be back, man. I'm
so
glad we
good,
were
man.
able to do this today. Yeah, and
I
I
am
finished
too.
my drink.
It feels right. Mine's empty as well.
Not the
Although
whole bag. I've still got a
Rocky's
bag.
still lit.
But
Okay, I was a little concerned about you there.
yeah, thank
No,
you. That was a lot.
This has been absolutely fantastic. It's felt so good. I've missed it so much. I'm glad that we are back. And look, I'm just going to be honest. I am the podcast editor. I'm not sure how well I'm going to do at keeping the podcast updated, but you'll always have these videos of the podcast at the very least. I will try to keep it updated. We'll see how that goes.
That's right. But we'll be here every Monday, and
Absolutely.
in fact, we look forward to seeing you all next Monday on the Moonshine Jesus Show.
Moonshine Jesus, the bright sky. Moonshine Jesus, baby, alright. Moonshine Jesus, a surprising delight.